We signed up for ideabrowser.com and built the first idea that Greg Eisenberg sent us. And no, it was not some vibe-coded patchy solution. It was actually a fully functioning tech stack for the business, including an AI model that can be trained on custom data. And we did this all in 1 hour by recruiting a team of AI agents. Watch this full episode to learn how we broke down the problem, how we recruited a team of AI agents, and what the working product actually looked like. Lovey Bear, one question for you. Do you like comic books?
I do like comic books.
So the idea today from ideabrowser.com is a pre-grading scanner for comic book collectors before the $50 submission. As I understand, let's read this through. The comic grading industry processes millions of submissions a year and returns results weeks later with no advance signal. Collectors submit based on visual inspection under home lighting, where bias runs high. A 9 on a desk score scores a 7.5 under the grading facility's fluorescent lamps. The grading companies have no incentive to offer pre-screening. The fee comes out either way. Cover Grail, which is the idea, evaluates photos of comic books front covers, back covers, and spine, returning a predicted CGC or CBCS grade with a confidence score. Do you know what these grades are? CGC?
I don't.
Let's Google them real quickly. What are CGC grades?
Okay, so it's like similar to trading cards when you submit your trading card to TCG and then they rate it. That's cool.
Yeah. So basically using AI to do this.
Got it.
Very cool. Also, a vintage Amazing Spider-Man image returns or like cover and all that kind of stuff. Predicted 9.4 with high confidence means submit. A predicted 6.5 means sells raw and skips a $50 fee. Decision lands before the book leaves the house. Interesting. So it's more predictable income for like comic book collectors and people who want to sell comic books. Okay, that's confirmed. Cool. Great. So there's a little like product thing here, and why this idea is a good idea that's also here. Like the keywords increase. The search is increasing over the year. Now it's at an all-time high. And so this is something that we could potentially build. Are you keen?
Yeah, let's do it. Let me let's go through the rest of the paragraphs. I just want to get a little bit more detail.
Sure. Yeah. Do you wanna read this?
Yeah. So confirmed grades come from a narrow set of public sources: eBay, Heritage Auctions, GoCollect databases, where high resolution photos sit behind verified CGC results. Okay, so it's like a training data set. The vision model trains on the relationship between visible condition markers and assigned grades across thousands of books. Beta access opens to 50 collectors from Reddit and Facebook groups who report an actual CGC outcome on every book they scan. Prediction accuracy by grade band and era is the only metric that matters in the first 90 days. The model tightens around the ranges where predictions and outcomes diverge most. 3 free scans on sign up convert collectors into paid users after they sell. It makes sense. Pricing runs from $2 to $30. $2 per scan or $30 a month. Makes sense. Dealer subscriptions at $500 add bulk scanning for estate purchases, mission lot building. YouTube partnership with comic grading channels. Got it. Okay, so it's like a AI model that's going to do your grading for you before you want to actually submit it into TCG or these other sources that cost more money. And the worst outcome would be is if like, you thought you had like a 9 or a 10 and you submit it and it comes back as a 7. You kind of wasted money and your valuation of the item is less too.
So you might as well not bear the $50 and send it over, right?
Exactly. So I'm thinking a few ways we can kind of go about this. So there's obviously we'll build like a nice web app around uploading an image and having it come back as a nice grade. So like some very gamified UI friendly approach. And then there would be some kind of back-end system that has like an ML model behind the scenes that can kind of look and process those images to give you a grade. And so we'll definitely need a training set of images, and maybe I can even ask the studio to go and fetch me those. But essentially so this is comic grading. I don't know if this is comic book collectors. Okay. So it's not necessarily trading cards. Let's do a quick Google search on comic book CGC grade data.
Yeah. So we'll have to train whatever model we use on this data, or if there's an API of sorts. Is that a correct understanding?
Yeah, and if there's an API, then we're kind of leveraging somebody else's model, but we could either argue for an API or just train ourselves. Let's scroll. Okay, here, CGC consensus. comprehensive database of all that. That's super helpful.
Okay, great.
Yeah, and I'm gonna let me share my screen. Let's just jump straight into the studio. Sure. I'd rather have the studio do this.
How do I unshare my screen? There we go. I think
Cool.
you're sharing
You
already.
see my screen here? Let's go
Yeah,
dark
I
mode
can.
here. Cool. So I'm gonna create a new project here, and we'll call it CGC grading. Give it a nice sword art picture here. And the first thing I want to do is I'm gonna create a task for the AI engineer.
Okay. So wait, what are we doing now? Like, walk me through what this is, because I haven't seen this interface before.
Yeah, so Studio is basically a zero agent company where you have a hierarchy of engineers kind of working under the CTO. And these are agents that are kind of at your disposal for doing different tasks at the same time. So the idea is like right now we're kind of like, I'm a religious Claude Code user. So I talk to Claude to build features out, get it to do some research. And then it comes back with kind of answers. But then the challenge is like, I'm kind of the QA engineer who's kind of validating everything Claude's saying. And what ends up happening is like, I'm hand holding Claude to kind of get features across the line. And I realized like, why am I the QA engineer to Claude? Like, why can't I just get Claude? Why can't I just build a QA agent that kind of like works with the engineering agent? In this case, that was Claude. And they kind of hash it out to get a good result. And then that kind of funnels up to like the principal who's the planner, and it kind of comes back to the CTO or myself. So the idea is like we leverage agent orchestration to basically kind of conduct work for us at a very high level.
So do you think if we just give the plan or give the product description to these guys, like they'll be able to figure out how to build it?
100%. I think we could.
Okay.
Yeah, we could kind of, zero shot it by creating a plan for the whole thing, or we can kind of do some more tailored approach where I kind of can get more hands-on and which is the thing I'm kind of favoring for right now, is getting more hands-on where I spin up a number of different kind of workflows with different engineering orgs and have them kind of just work in parallel with me. And this kind of sits on your Claude Code subscription and also your Codex subscription, so you're not paying extra. You're just kind of bringing your plan onto the tool.
Okay.
I'm thinking we just kind of go ahead and look into this. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to talk to the AI engineer. And actually, instead of the AI engineer, let's talk to the backend engineer and be like, hey, can you do some research on the web to see if we can find comic books images that are graded by CGC. I'd like to build out an internal data set of comic book images along with their corresponding grades. And I'll throw in the AI engineer as well into this chat, and I'll kick this off. And now you can see like I have two engineers kind of working for me. So I'll do that. And then in parallel, I'm going to create a new plan here. So you can see like the AI engineers on it, researching the CGC graded comic book image sources now. In parallel, I'm going to create a plan here, and I'll design the principal front-end engineer. I'll add the principal back-end engineer, and I'm going to start actually orchestrating the full stack system that we're going to build. So I'm going to be like, I'd like to create a new project that involves grading comic book images using an ML model on a trained data set. The goal is to basically grade comic book images before users send out, I'm going to say pre-grade comic book images before users send their actual comic book out to get graded by CGC. I'll talk quickly about just the infrastructure. I'd like to have this run locally for now. Maybe later we can kind of throw it on the web. And I'll throw some points here. I'd like to have it run locally for now. I'd like the front end and back end to be in the same source. So, one slash one repo. We can have the back end running in Python. We can use Docker Compose to compose both apps under the same, we can use Docker Compose to compose both apps. And have two containers running, one for the front end and one for the back end. What else? So this is more infrastructure decisions.
And like, explain to me, so I understand everything before the Docker stuff that you just talked about. I'm like a complete I'm a vibe coder. As I use Claude Code. What is this infra stuff that you're doing in terms of Just a basic understanding. I don't need to go into too much depth.
Yeah, for sure. So I think like, if I'm not prescriptive about some of the way I want the engineering stack to look like, they'll kind of just make those decisions for me, which is totally fine if you're vibe coding an app, and probably fine for this one too. But I'd like to kind of make the scope a little bit more narrow, so I give them kind of like a playing ground to work in. So like, for example, Docker is a containerized solution where basically like you have a mini virtual machine, not exactly a virtual machine, but like a mini machine that's running on your system, and it's inheriting the operating system it's coming from, so it has access to your hardware and like your memory and all that stuff, but it's like kind of its own little machine. So basically, like most apps these days kind of run on Docker, and what happens with Docker is like you can kind of spin up a container, and it's almost agnostic to the operating system because it'll have its own operating system that it's starting with. So like I can have a Docker container that's running like a Linux instance on my Mac, and it's going to behave like a Linux server or a Linux computer, really. So this is nice because when I package and deploy this to the cloud and have people using it on a website, I don't need to be specific about the fact that it came from my Mac. Or it was depending on stuff that my Mac depended on, because it's its own little machine that can kind of be transported across different servers.
Okay. Cool.
And so I'm basically prescribing the backend and front end to kind of live inside the Docker container. I'd like the front and backend to be in the same source one repo, use Docker containers for it. We can have the backend running in Python. Let's skip the ML model component for now. Let's give a default score of 5.0 for all images put in. We'll do a separate component where we train an ML model, and later we can kind of plug it into the system as a whole. For now, the focus is to have a very nice aesthetic gamified front end where users can front end in a comic book style theme. Very nice front end where users can upload an image and get a corresponding score. We'll skip the payment and the costs behind some of this stuff after, where users have to pay anything. We'll just kind of get the scaffolding of the system up and running. And for the backend, not too detailed. We could use Fast API as the framework for the backend, and later we can plug in an ML model that can sit on the backend service, but keep the backend fairly lightweight. Cool. Okay, so this task that I'm spinning up right now with the front-end engineer and the back-end engineer, I'm asking the front-end engineer to lead. The reason I'm asking the front-end engineer to lead is because usually I like to select my lead as the person who's going to be doing more of the heavy lifting. So it seems like there's a lot more heavy lifting on the front-end side right now. The back-end side is kind of a little bit chill, but I do want them to agree on the same contract of how they're building stuff. So that's why I am looping in the back-end engineer into this conversation. So they'll be able to kind of contribute to the plan and make sure that, the front-end engineer is not just going off and doing like 30 different things where the back-end engineer has no idea. I want them to be on the same page. So I'm going to kick off this plan, and we're going to maybe come back to this and see a plan in a few minutes. And let's come back to this ticket here. So here's the research summary on the CGC. Okay, so it passed me a URL, best authoritative source. There's a gallery here, 80,000 images. That's pretty dope.
Wow, yeah, that's a great training. Can we check out that link? I just want to see what.
Let's go to the link here. So here's the gallery providing.
Might have been the same thing we looked at before.
Okay, dude, this is sick because it has the image and then the cutoff of the quality of it. I wonder
if we can scrape all this. Or...
Yeah, we should definitely be able to scrape it, but let's see. Grading, resources, CGC gallery, comics gallery, so international comic books. See high resolution images. Okay, this takes us back here. Okay, this is not bad. Definitely would require some fine tuning of the model when we get into this, but we can kind of work with this. Okay, 9.0. This is cool. Now, one challenge I have is the fact that it's kind of already packaged in the package, so it's hard to get an authentic, different angled kind of view of the comic itself.
But I imagine like we can build the thing in a way where we assume that the end operator of this app is going to have access to at least some amount of data, or be able, or have a system in which they will over time take more pictures of like more comic books front, back, and sides to keep on training the data, like keep on training the model on and on.
Right. Completely agree. I think maybe we don't need, so there's 872 pages of this, so there's quite a lot of pages here with a lot of images. So what I'm thinking is, we don't need to go too detailed on building a perfect model, but maybe we can just start with a basic scrape of some of these images here. So let's go back to here. I really like this approach. So what I'm going to do is, and it's already recommending me phase 1, scrape CGC's own gallery. It is labeled, images are authoritative. Playwright Puppeteer Scraper handles pagination, 40 to 80,000 labeled images. That is perfect. So I'm going to loop in. Actually, I already have the backend engineer here.
So this is research that another research agent did, or you made the front end guy? You made the AI engineer do the research.
Yeah, so this is a ticket where I asked the AI engineer to research online image sources for the comic books, so we can have like a training data set.
So you started 2 tickets. So you basically got, like, if I think of it in a real world context, you pulled in a couple of engineers and gave them a task, like had a huddle with them and gave them a task, and you pulled in like your front end and back end devs in another meeting and you gave them another task, and they're all running in parallel. And behind all of this is your own Cloud Code credits. Like, you're not using the API or anything.
Exactly. I'm using my own Cloud Code credits. And the cool thing is, like, so we have a backend engineer on here and an AI engineer, but I can actually spin up 2 separate tasks with the AI engineer. So it's not necessarily that, like, if the AI engineer is busy on this ticket, they can't take on more work. I can create like 4 or 5 more tickets for the AI engineer, and it'll be concurrent sessions that they're running. There'll be different sessions, but it'll be separate work that they're running across the board. Like, for example, like I can make 3 or 4 more tickets on here. But for this one, I do really like this approach. So we have a backend AI engineer here. I'm going to make the backend engineer, I'm going to tag him, be like, hey, I like the approach that the AI engineer suggested, and specifically it's this one right here. So scrape the gallery 872 images. Can you come up with a plan to build out a scraper that is going to grab me those images and put them into a folder for training. And then I'm going to tag the AI engineer and I'll be like, can you collaborate on the plan to create a simple ML model that will score those, that will train on those images. And one caveat for both engineers, the images have the target slash prediction in the image. So we need to be able to cut off the image during the ingestion step, so we can have training data along with their labels. Okay, so sent off this message. Let's go back to our comic book platform and let's open the plan that they've kind of worked on together. So here's the goals for the plan: a local only web app that lets users upload a comic book image and see a graded score with a punchy comic book styled reveal. That's awesome. I love it.
Nice.
Gonna add a comment. I love it.
And what do these comments do? Is it feeding back, and like when does the agent actually read the comic? Is it getting fired up every time you're reading the comment? Okay, so it's like replying to your comment in real time.
Yeah, so basically, this is something new that Cursor and Claude don't actively do, but essentially, the idea is like you can have multiple agents collaborating on a plan together, and they'll be working on the plan and contributing the plan at the same time. So, for example, I just made this comment saying I love it, and then the front end engineer, who's the lead planner, has responded to my comment. So they're actively reading and responding to the work that I'm telling them to do. So it's like, grab the flaming landed when you're ready, the 3 questions at the bottom. So they're directing me to questions I haven't even seen yet, but this is like they're kind of collaborating. And the cool thing is, like, other engineers in the same conversation, like for example, in this plan, we had the backend engineer also working. They're also reviewing the plan with me. So I'm not alone in just orchestrating a plan together. Usually if you go to like Claude and you're in plan mode, it's just you kind of, giving the final sign off, asking questions. But now I have these agents kind of like actively in collaboration together to to grill the plan. And I find that when agents are working together, you usually converge to a lot better of a solution than if it was just me kind of like using my own dim-witted brain to kind of like answer these questions. So having other agents kind of help me is really good. So you can see the backend engineer, like I think they made a comment down here. We can kind of get to that comment in a second, but you can see them kind of like having these conversations already. But we'll continue on with the goals. 1 repo, 2 services, Python fast API backend, React TypeScript frontend. I didn't specify the language for or framework for the frontend, but perfect. React TypeScript is perfect. Orchestrated with Docker Compose, awesome. Backend exposes a single grading endpoint that returns a hard-coded 5.0 score. This is what I asked for specifically. We can extend this functionality later, plus a health check. Perfect. The grading logic lives behind a clean module boundary, so a real ML model can be swapped. And this is perfect because I never really explicitly mentioned this, but they're thinking kind of ahead where we're going to swap the grading mechanism with a real model later on. Frontend is the star, comic panels, dots, hard edge drop shadows. Perfect. Don't know the specifics of what some of the front end styling they're talking about, but I love it already. Full keyboard accessible, responsive at all these different lengths and widths. Perfect. Prefers reduced motion. That's awesome. So they're already thinking ahead in terms of different screen sizes and different resolutions. Like it's going to be able to kind of account for many of those scenarios.
How action words animated score. I love that. They're giving it like a comic book feel to the
exactly.
Nice.
So non-goals. Non-goals is really good because these are anti-patterns that they're emphasizing. So the idea is basically like, I don't want them to go off and do something I never asked for. And so non-goals are very good to kind of be prescriptive about because you don't want them to go and spend some time, waste token usage and all that stuff to do something that later on you're coming back and you're like, oh crap, I didn't really ask you to do that. So,
And I was reading the comment that you shared on Reddit earlier. Like that's one of the problems people face once they set up Paperclip is like it kind of runs off and does a bunch of things that's not aligned to like the product vision. Not shitting on Paperclip or anything, but like that can happen with agents if they're not like if you don't really define the non-goals as well, right?
Yeah, 100%. And I think in Paperclip, like I think you have to manually specify those things. Like here, the harnesses that we've added to these agents, like we were very prescriptive of the fact that like, hey, these are your guardrails and kind of stay within them. Whereas Paperclip, like you can get to that same outcome, but it requires you to update the skills files, update their identity, and make sure that you're kind of doing that. And if you don't do it, then they're kind of going off and doing a bunch of things. So it's a challenge for sure. It's like you're kind of like scaffolding the agent itself from scratch. Whereas these agents are kind of coming out of the box. Like we've battle tested this with so many different projects across the board, and we made sure that like, hey, they're doing exactly what like we'd hope for them to do. So for the non-goals, real ML model, perfect. It specified that. Auth, accounts, persistence, awesome. We're not going to do any user behavior right now or payment processing with Stripe or anything like that. No hosting or deploy. Later on, we can kind of extend that if we wanted to. Let's get something out sooner than later. Real CGC integration for sure. It's our own mapping. Like we're not going to call any CGC API. Oh, cool. See image batch upload, 1 image at a time. I never talked about that, but that's a really good idea. And maybe I want to kind of scope that into phase 1. I would like the ability to upload multiple images via drag and drop and have them scored all in sequence. So let's bring that into phase 1. I wasn't really thinking about that, but that's an awesome idea. And I'm gonna, there's a lot of stuff going on in the conversation here. Let's obviously, if we had more time, I would spend more time kind of focusing on the details of the tech stack and stuff. But let's
as an ML engineer yourself, do you on first glance, do you trust this tech stack? Like, do you think they're on the right track in terms of what you would have used to build something like this?
For sure. I think fast API, Pydantic validation, Pillow for image, I think, and UV for the Python library. All UV is kind of a more modern, package dependency module for Python. So I really do like what they're choosing. No constraints personally on the tech stack. Tailwind is great. Vite is awesome. The funny thing is our studio is built in Vite as well and TypeScript. So it's awesome to see that kind of using Framer motion is awesome because like you see more of the animation stuff. So I think they're choosing some pretty production quality technology and tech stack. So like, I could even be like, I can even specify like, that this later we're going to deploy this in production. So make sure you're building it in a way where it's production ready. So like, Fast API, you can kind of have like a local server running, or you can have it built with Uvicorn for more of a production deployment. In that world, like I really like that they brought in Uvicorn because that's more production friendly. So they're not just trying to like get a quick solution up and running. Like I can see the way that they're even implementing Pydantic. It's like a type. It's a more stricter typer. It's a more strictly typed framework in Python. So the fact that they're already considering using Pydantic is a great sign, meaning it's using prod level type of approaches. Whereas one drawback of Python is like you can have like variable type mismatches, and then later on you see like a runtime error because the typing was wrong. But Pydantic kind of like helps you enforce that from like the request level inputs to the output. So for sure, I can see like a lot of production related stuff, and they're also introducing PyTest library. So it seems like they're already thinking about unit tests as well, which is awesome. Does that kind of answer your question?
Yeah, absolutely.
Sweet.
Let's move ahead and see what it builds.
So one thing I asked is like, I'd like the ability to upload multiple images via drag and drop and have them scored all in sequence. So you can see the front end engineers like, okay, promoting this out of non-goals, and here's how they would shape it. So they provided a bunch of different kind of approaches. Obviously, if you're doing batch upload, there's different considerations when it comes to like something failing. So they provided a whole spec sheet of things that they would kind of implement. So I'm just going to go with it. I trust that it's correct. But I just basically wanted to highlight that I want to include it. So that's good. Then they're talking about colors, surfaces, API contract. I absolutely love the fact that there's an API contract here, because oftentimes like when I'm building a feature, especially with Claude, like, they're designing something in one way. And if I have another session, they're designing it another way. And then oftentimes I'm coming across the issue where like the APIs, there's a mismatch. Front end built to something, using format A, can build something using format B, and they're not really aligning. The fact that this is already here is an amazing sign, because it means that the backend and front end are kind of already agreeing on a shape, which I love. So yeah, grade mapping. Oh, that's cool. They're already talking about some of the mapping. Very fine, good. Love that they're already kind of thinking about the grading scheme. They're talking about the container orchestration with Docker Compose. So that's great. Obviously, like, if I had more time, I'd go into the details of this stuff, but it's cool. They're talking about a max upload of the image size as an environment variable. So this all looks good. Going to kind of proceed along with some of this stuff. Don't want to bore you into the details. And you know what? So I can see like the principal backend engineer kind of added a comment. They wanted to do something a certain way from day one. And then the principal front-end engineer agreed. Like these type of conversations I absolutely love, because this avoids like a really bad, frustrating review cycle after the fact. Like, you're ready to hit run to see things spinning up, and all of a sudden you're getting 30 different errors because the app is not really wired together properly. So having the backend jump in about saying that they want to do something specific and the front end agreeing is like the best thing I could ever see. But then they have risks, test plan, and I'm gonna, usually typically what's gonna happen is once everything is built up and running, the agents are gonna call the QA engineers, and the QA engineers are gonna go and open the app. They're going to test it out. They're going to upload something based on the test plan. This will add like maybe 20% more extra time to the build. So I'm going to be like, hey, let's skip testing for now, or skip QA testing for now. I'm here, so I can test this out locally and report back if there are any issues. So I'm going to basically say like, hey, let's skip the QA testing.
And the testing happens like it doesn't open up a browser on your computer or anything. The testing happens within the Agent Studio app.
So it'll actually open up a browser on your computer. So you're going to start seeing some browsers open up. The QA agent is interfacing with the browser. So you're gonna see for sure that they're kind of clicking around things. And
it uses like Hermes at the back end. Hermes.
It's actually using a skill called Playwright. Right.
Oh, Playwright. Okay. Right.
Yeah, it's a very sick skill for QA engineers to kind of leverage browser level control.
Yeah, very cool.
So you can see the principal front end, you confirm cutting the QA validation gate. So by default, they'll always call the QA for verification. And it's awesome because if I have a big build, I can honestly step away for like an hour and I'll come back with the QA giving me the green light saying all these tests pass. And I'm like, okay, sick. Like I have confidence that everything is working, as opposed to like me kind of jumping in and QAing. But in this case, I'm like, I'll just do the QA there. So there's some open questions for me. So repo home, brand new local Git only Git repo, honestly, that's fine. Local only is fine. In Studio, you can connect your GitHub repo. You can connect your GitHub to the Studio so they can actually access your Git repositories and then make pull requests. So in this case, I'm fine to just do local. Project name on disk. Yeah, I love CGC Grader. Let's go with CGC Grader. So we'll do that. Any specific comics to evoke? Oh, I like that. Let's oh, they already kind of thought about Marvel for me. Marvel DC is awesome. Personally, I'm more of a Marvel fan, but we'll include DC in this.
Me too, man.
For inclusivity as well. Yeah, perfect. So awesome. And so what I'm going to do here is now I'm going to submit this for review, and based on all of these comments, it's going to come up with like a modified plan. So
Okay.
I've requested the engineer to kind of review this plan and give me another version. So like we have a more cleaned up document that the engineers that are going to be building can use.
Yeah. So this is like a very sophisticated version of like Cloud Code plan mode. It's just doing a
100%,
very
yeah.
detailed plan, and it's like a Google Doc almost, where you're commenting and then you're refining it before the thing runs off and builds like 5 things that you don't need.
Exactly. It's a very sophisticated plan mode. Other agents are contributing to it. So you have like this your agent orchestration is kind of like working with you to kind of get aligned on everything and make sure that they're kind of converging to the best result that you would want and the solution would have.
Yeah. So if you're like a founder and like you just need more of a sounding board team before you really like that's essentially what this app is doing for you.
Exactly. And honestly, like there's so many times like I missed something or I kind of forgot about something, and then the other agent engineer kind of calls it out, and it's like I'm like, oh yeah, if they didn't mention that, they would have went off and done something I totally didn't want them to do. So it's awesome to have like you said, like a sounding board where other engineers are kind of like pitching in. So yeah, while this is running, let's go back to our comment here. So, or our image scraper. So they kind of like, this is like kind of their ingestion plan. I don't have this on plan mode. I'm kind of just like having them kind of like one shot this, but I could ask them to make a plan specifically to have it in a plan, but let's just kind of go on with, this is not as complicated as the whole front and back end. So,
yeah. So this is like one of the components of the overall solution that we're building.
Exactly.
Okay.
And
so
later
you can plan the whole thing, and then also have sub plans for the little features and things like that.
Exactly.
Just so you have more control.
Yeah, like, and you could choose to have as much control. Like, for example, I could have created a crazy long prompt of like, do the scraping, do the front end, do the back end, and the engineering folks would have kind of jumped in and kind of built it all out. But I wanted to have a little bit more, control over what specifically I want in this world. So I'd like to know specifically what images we're grabbing from and what we're going to be training on. So this all looks good. Image URL pattern. So this is all great. I'd like the images to be on the local folder. Let's skip any AWS or cloud native integrations in this build. So I have my AWS connected to Studio as well. So oftentimes they're going to relate to S3 or EC2 or something like that. So my agents are kind of tailored towards deployment, but I'm just telling them to kind of stay local for now. Other than that, don't want to spend too much time looking over the plan of the scraper. So other than that, this looks great. Let's kick off the build here.
All right.
And so they can bring in more engineers at their own disposal. So like, let's say they wanted like QA or platform engineer or database engineer to do something. They can go ahead and kick it off and bring people into the chat. Or you could even bring people to the chat just by adding them, and they'll have the entire conversation history ready for it. So the AI engineer starting the ML pipeline, you could see that they've kicked off a to-do list here where they're creating a training pipeline. And I think the backend engineer is going to start kicking off the scraping pipeline in a second. So
now it's in free flow mode where they're looking at the plan and they're thinking like each step of the plan, who do I need? And they're also familiar with the agents that are already in this org.
Exactly. So they can bring in people as they want. I kind of thought a little bit ahead where I was like, oh, I want the backend and AI engineer because AI is going to do the training, backend's going to do the scraping. So I kind of preemptively planned that. But if I was talking to like, let's say the CTO, they would have probably done that for me. So I opt in for a little bit more control, but you can kind of just do it. So this guy's already going on. Don't even know what he's up to, but he's doing something. So I'm gonna leave him to do that. The backend engineer is still thinking, so he can stay thinking. Let's go back to the revised plan here. So this is the revision 2 here. Honestly, as long as my feedback was under consideration, I'm totally happy. So don't want to spend too much time on the plan here. So I'm just gonna kick off the build here.
All right.
Yeah, probably wouldn't do this at work, but if we're kind of just hacking this together
just curious, what was the other build that it was doing? Like just on the screen before?
Yeah, so over here, basically like, okay, so the backend engineer is kind of doing stuff as well. So the idea is like, I gave these 2 engineers 2 tasks. I was like, 1, do some ML training, and 2, scrape those images for me. So now they kind of came up with a plan. It looked good for me. So now I have both of those engineers are on their mission to go and do what I asked them to do. So you can see the AI engineer pushing full steam ahead, getting all of this going, and then the back engineer is starting to write the scraper library. So we call it an agent quest. A quest is basically like the mission that they're on, and the back end engineer is on their mission. And we could always, abort the mission or change courses if we wanted to. I could just be like, back end engineer, stop what you're doing, or I could just literally hit the stop button. Like I can see over here, they're going off on things, and the AI engineer as well. I could hit the stop button if I want him to just pause for a second and just let me, interrupt them. Or I can just at them and say, hey, do it this other way. If I notice that their plan wasn't really what I wanted them to do. But yeah, they're kind of already going off and building. So man, nice. AI engineers, he's quick with it. Or they're quick with it. So that's awesome. And then waiting for the backend engineer to run. So they're doing the scraping. So AI engineer kind of reported an update here. So they're like, ML pipeline is built. Files are in here. For the entire time to run once the scraper delivers data. So sorry, to run this when the scraper delivers data, they already gave me a contract of how to kind of train the model. And the cool thing is the backend engineer is seeing this, and they are actively considering this message in their conversation. So they're like, oh, okay, I need to use, the metadata. I need to have a metadata, for example, for the images. And, this is how we're going to be processing the training. So the backend engineer on their mission are going to make sure that they're conforming to what the AI engineer did. And oftentimes this is a very challenging, this is agent orchestration done right, because oftentimes like 2 agents are doing their own thing, and then later on you're coming back and you're like, those pieces don't fit together. Whereas here it's like the moment the AI engineer kind of said something, the backend engineer is kind of conforming to that same standard. And they might speak up if their shape mismatches and they want the AI engineer to do something else. So they're in active communication with each other. And so yeah, so this looks good. I'll let the backend engineer continue doing this stuff. And honestly, I want to be as low code as possible. So I'm not going to even actually run this. I'm probably going to ask them to run it for a training session. But I might see some images or ask the backend engineer to kind of show me an image on this chat. So I'll kind of like report back to this as they're running it. So going back to this, seems like they made the draft. We kicked off the build, and I can see they created a ticket here. And they created a ticket for the backend engineer to kind of do stuff. So the backend engineer is kind of already, this is actually for the backend for the app. So the backend's actually working. I'm going to see, I don't see a ticket for the front-end engineer. So let me go and jump in here. Principal front-end engineer what about the front-end work? And maybe they want the backend first. Oh, I'm so dumb. I gotta shut up for a second. While I was asking the question, they just made the ticket for the front end work. So
okay,
this is
so the agents can create their own tickets and workflows and just kind of take the plan from there.
Exactly, and all of these link up. So for example, like I can look at the Kanban board here.
Oh, wow,
I have stuff that's kind of in progress here, and I can kind of move some of this stuff in progress too. I feel like everything's kind of in progress right now. The agents can move it themselves, or you can move it. And this is kind of like your Jira board to kind of mentally track how tickets are coming across the line. I try to minimize how many tickets get created because I notice sometimes like if you have like 30 different tickets, you're like, I'm so lost in the sauce here. So in this world, basically like I can actually like see the child ticket that's going on. So I'm gonna pin this one as my parent ticket. I'm gonna pin this one as my the comic book one for the training. I'll leave these kind of ones based on what the engineers are doing because they can move this themselves. So backend seems to be done. Their job was a lot easier, so that's nice. The front end engineers, they got a long road ahead. Long if I was to do it manually, but not long for them, maybe like 5-10 minutes. So I'll see like I'll see them kind of doing this. So let's go back to here. Okay, so backend engineers verifying. So yeah, we can kind of just chill for a bit. I don't necessarily have a lot of action for any of these folks. We can see those are in progress. These are kind of going on. And actually, you know what? I'll be like, backend engineer, give me an update. Give me an update on what you made. Make the update short,
like
short and
5 bullet points or something like that.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so the local repos at Workspace Integrator, the branch is here, ready to merge into main. Fast API backend with help, with a health check, and also a grading endpoint with pydantic schemas, async communication, and nice integration for future ML plugin, and Docker Compose covering both services. And all the PyTest tests are passing. And the cool thing is, like, I can actually open up the code base the engineer is seeing. So this is my backend engineer. I told them to keep the backend and the front end in the same app, which is great because there's a Docker Compose file that I asked them to make. They also added a really nice README, which is cool. And so this is actually the code the backend engineer wrote up. And it's honestly, high level evaluation of it is good. It's modular. They have they have an API folder, the core folder, schemas folder, great for the database schemas. So overall, I really like how they built this. They have a virtual environment for local testing, amazing. So overall, I'm pretty happy with this. And also the cool thing is, like, let's say there's something I didn't like for example, they have this is the grade endpoint. This is how they're actually grading things. So nice, they catch if there's no image provided. And the cool thing is I can actually reference the code here. So I'm going to reference this code. They already do have a file too large check, but imagine I didn't know that they have a file too large. I can actually reference this code and be like, in this code, are you checking any limits on file sizes? And you can see, like, I can actually go and open up this this code here. It's exactly what we're seeing here. And I can kind of reference that code here. And I can, I didn't tag the backend engineer for that one, but I can just tag the backend engineer for that code snippet. Let me see here. Okay. So cool. So let's go back to, let's go back to the thing here. So the front end engineer is kind of going off and doing stuff. And so this is my parent ticket. I don't want to actively talk to all three of these engineers, so I'm going to mute them. So I'm just going to talk to the front-end engineer. So when I talk now, I'm going to ask the front-end engineer, because right now, if I made a message, it would wake all three of them up. So I could be like, what's the status update all the work going on? And so now the front-end engineer is going to respond here. Okay, cool. The backend and AI engineer are done their work on this side. So this is awesome. They also cropped the top 18%. That's amazing. Okay, can you share... actually,
what does that mean?
So one thing I asked them for was basically, like, I was like, hey, like, you know, the image you're seeing, there's grades here. So like, if you made an ML model to train, it would just start picking up this score and only looking at the score to give you a score of 9. So that would be a biased model, or it would be like an extremely overfit model, which is not even looking at the image. So obviously we want to train with the image alone and predict the 9. So this is a really cool test, just from a data science point of view. Like, can we even create a model right now with just these images and predicting the 9? So I basically asked the backend engineer to cut off the top part of this image. Perfect. So let's see the backend engineer. Scraper is built and validated. Here's what's working. Crop the top 18%. I'll ask the backend engineer, hey, can you run the scraper and grab me 500 images? So obviously I don't want to run any code. I could if I wanted to, if I was really deep in the weeds, but I'm going to just ask the backend engineer to do this. And I'll mute the AI engineer for now. Even though this was a direct message, I'll mute them just so I can have this one-on-one conversation with them. So yeah, front-end engineers doing their stuff. And then let's go back here and see that. And okay, so here, what's the status update and all the work? So backend work is done. It's ready here in CGC Grader, perfect. Includes the shape of, okay, all that stuff, the full backend service, amazing. Front-end work is in progress. Engineer woke up after the reping and started building. No status post yet. I'll surface this. Awesome, thank you. Do I need to ask anything for these guys? I think that's fine. What are your thoughts on the build so far? Like anything you want to see, ask, look around?
No, I'm actually like I'm excited to see the end product, whatever it brings. And I'm also, I know we kept it quite simple, but I just want to see, like, you know, from a user perspective, how user-friendly is it going to be? Like, I know we left a lot of solutions for it to figure out, like, what is there going to be like a camera component, or are they just going to allow us to like send in images from that we take on our phone and just like airdrop them to our computer and then drag them in? Or
yeah, really good, honestly, very good points. And maybe I should have probably thrown those into the plan ahead of time, like if there's like
I actually stayed silent because I wanted to see what the agents do and like how they build it out. Quite often, like, and this is one thing that I face with like AI assisted coding, is like quite often they will suggest things that you didn't even think of, and maybe like even find an easier way of doing things, whereas you're like complicating things in your head sometimes.
Right.
It can be the opposite as well, but sometimes I've been pleasantly surprised by AI. So yeah, it's interesting to see.
Yeah, for sure. That's a great point. And I think I'm going to assume they're not going to have a camera component where you can like show your camera on a thing. I think they're probably going to stick to a simple file upload of an image. And it would be cool to one cool test I'd love to see is like train the AI model, upload this image with just like a cut of this, and basically see if it's going to grade the image as a 9. So that's going to be very cool. I'd love to kind of see that in action once I integrate the training of the model. So that's super cool. And then I'm also really curious to the style and the theme of the comic book front end that they're going to make. So like, is it going to be like Marvel, DC, like action? Like I'm really excited about how they're going to make the front end. So I'm curious to see this kind of wrap up. 167, maybe we could pause here for a second. Okay, let's get back to this. So basically we can see the front engineer did mostly all the work, maybe and then the backend engineer is also done. So I'm going to basically ask, I'm actually going to bring the backend and the front engineer into this conversation. I'll be like, can you guys, I'll actually just ask the principal, can you run the app and give me a URL so I can access it and on my browser?
Okay. This is like the dev server.
Exactly, yeah. So this is like the local dev server. Front engineer is going to run it. And then I'll quickly switch over to the scraping. I'm going to pause the backend engineer because I think they're still scraping. I think we've gotten enough images. I can see like in the raw images, they're scraping a bunch of images.
And they're scraping the data from that website, the CGC website that we gave them, just to have like a reference. Okay. And they're going to use this with the AI model. And then basically give us an output. And with the Agent Studio setup right now, like where is it getting the API computes from? Like what API is it using? How is it doing all of that?
So I think there was no scraping. The scraping didn't require an API. I think they just raw scraped the images that they were finding from the parsing the website itself.
But aren't they processing like the images? Like when it takes an image from us, like the user, and then it like identifies what the score would be, like how is it doing, like where is it getting the API from?
So in that case, like I have the AI engineer who is created a model that they're going to train the images on.
So it's a model that we are training ourselves.
Exactly.
So the compute is happening locally. Like we're not. I thought you were using some sort of vision API tool. Okay, that's crazy.
Exactly. Yeah. So I'm going to open this. So we can actually see. Sorry, I got some stuff up here. So we can actually see like let me full screen this. So we can actually see the images. So like let's go to the raw images here. So this is freaking sick. So essentially it created the image and it blanked out the score here. So that's super cool. Let's go to another one. Yeah, that's another smart, image, dude. Blanked out the score.
And how is it doing the scraping? Is it like what is it using to do the scraping?
Honestly, it created its own Python script for the images. So like if I go here, this is, it didn't blank out the score. This is the one where it cut it off it's creating a data set of scores. So here's tens. These are all tens, which honestly, that looks really nice. So it cut off the top part for us. So I can see that the folder here, let me see if I can get a nice view of this. Here we go. Here's a nice image view. So you can see like different, how do I see a preview? Anyway, you can see like, these are the different images with the scores cut off. So I'm happy with the way it created the process, the raw, the metadata. So I'm going to actually go back to the studio and be like, AI engineer, can you train the model with the data that we have?
And in the background, before you stop that Python script, it was basically going to scrape like hundreds more to make the model super robust. Okay.
I got it to do 500. I'm not fully sure how many it did. Probably if I go to raw, probably at least like 100 to 200
images. Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
In a real, from your like expertise in a real life setting, this would probably need, how many images would it need to really get a decent output out?
Yeah, probably like
this sort of...
10 to 20,000 to be honest.
Okay. So if anyone was to take this code base and like just like run with the idea, they would first need to like just add a bunch or run the Python script to like keep training it. Okay.
Yeah, exactly. Pick a more sophisticated model. Report some good precision recall on the training of the images. Get images that are. This is just like a very like processed image of the actual comic book, but we would have to like grab like images of different angles of different comic books. So probably a better data set. And hopefully you could just download a data set or buy one. You wouldn't have to like scrape it. But yeah, for sure. So if we go back here, nice. Okay, so the app is running. Let's take a look at this.
Okay. Moment of truth.
Oh, sorry. I have another app running. I have the studio running. Let me just tell them to kill the 5163 port front end because I had a separate app running and rerun the Docker compose. We'll quickly check the backend API. Backend API is on. I'm seeing a good successful result. Just waiting for the front end to run it. I had another app running locally, so I needed to kill the app first, and then I'll move these tickets to done. Okay. Oh, dude, this is sick. So this is the image.
Oh, wow.
Grade.
Okay.
I love the theme here. What's a grade? 1 to 10.
Nice.
Let's drop an image that we had actually in our folders here. Sorry, let me
or
try
maybe
to
just
find
like get like just Google a random Legal
so
Legends.
I was
nice.
thinking we actually use the image from the ones that we got from our data set. So we can actually drop an image. So let's drop an image from like the processed one. So I'm gonna drop this here. Oh, look at this beautiful UI, comic style UI here.
Yeah.
Fine, kapow, nice. That's cool.
Okay, and this is based on like the training data that it already has. Essentially, someone. Okay, so like I'm just thinking, if we give this code to someone who actually wants to run this business, is it grading all? Or are there the 5 sets? Or
say it again.
Can we get like a set that maybe would score differently? Like I just want to see like how well the. I know the training data is very very small, but like I just want to see like if it gives us varied scores at all.
Yeah, so right now I asked specifically the front end back end to give me a score of 5 every time. But essentially, right now I'm actually having the AI engineer train the model.
Okay.
So we are about to see different scores once we actually see the model trained.
Okay. So right now it's still just probably giving a default 5 or something like that.
Exactly. Right now it's like this was more just to kind of feel out the flow of the application. To see if we like it, we can kind of provide feedback. I love the
animation, honestly, everything. Yeah,
the animation, cool. Your comics. This is dope. And they even explain what the things is. They even create a style guide. That's crazy. They created a style guide on how the layout of this website should look.
Right. And then what I'm thinking is like practical use cases of this website. I know on Idea Browser there was a bunch of things, but essentially if you have a business that helps or like basically that collects comic books, right? Maybe those comic book shops, you could totally use something like this, and maybe you will even have like maybe 1,000 comic books in your own store to train this train this model with. 100%. So you could have like an admin dashboard where you train your model, and then people come to your shop and then drop their comics in just to check like how their comics are. But like basically giving them a bit of a price estimate before. So that's one use case. Second could be like it could be a consumer app where people are just testing this, ranking their comics at home before thinking, okay, do I pay the $50 and like go and get it graded?
Exactly.
This is cool. Anything else you want to do to the app right now? Like any kind of like model?
So I wanna basically use this. Wait, give me 1 sec. I want to see the training model done.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool. Perfect. So basically the AI model's trained. And I'm gonna ask the AI engineer, can we move this model and integrate it into our app here? So I'm gonna just grab the CGC grader here and backend and okay. So basically, like what I'm doing here is I have this separate ticket that was kind of done where the AI engineer was kind of gone off and building a model. So now we scraped the data, we built the model. And now I'm basically having them integrate that model into the kind of stub placeholder of the grading that we did in the backend. So now the last thing here to kind of tie this all together is have the AI engineer put the model in there.
Okay. And then hopefully we should see like different scores now.
Yeah, and then backend engineer make sure it's working as well, working with the Fast API service. Let's see what's going on. So basically, train this AI model to train on those 200 images cropped by the backend engineer who scraped it from the website. So, and then I also got the AI engineer to integrate it into the endpoint, so it's no longer a stub.
Can we get a picture, like a random picture of a comic book from online, and then see how it does it? Not like one of those scan pages. Yeah.
Yeah, we can definitely do that. We could do both. I'm going to ask the backend engineer. Actually, I'm going to ask the principal here. Can you rerun the backend now includes the AI model? So yeah, let's. You want to shoot me an image, and I'll try to throw this one.
I'm gonna find one. Wait, I'm still looking for a good image. Yeah, I actually like this.
And I'm gonna test it out by dropping an image in here. Grading service. I think it's being done the backend. Okay, so now it's rebuilding the app with the new AI model kind of plugged into it.
I sent you a couple of photos on Slack.
Nice.
That we can use as just for testing.
Where did you send them? Oh, nice. Oh, that's cool. Okay.
Like these are realistic images that people might take.
Yeah.
And so is the new model live now, or?
Yeah, so it's plugged in, and now the server is starting up. So I'm just waiting for the server to turn on.
So once the server starts up, then we can actually test these images. Okay, I'm excited.
Exactly. Yeah, this is cool. And one thing I'm kind of curious about, it's a bit of cheating here, but I'm curious to put these same graded images like this one back into the app and see if I actually got a 9.
See if it actually works. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, seems like it's up. So let's try this out. I'm going to throw this image in here. Let's grade it, following the model. Dude, not bad. Okay. This is a 4.8, and it gave it a 4.4.
And then give it a 4.4. Okay, got it.
Yeah.
So this is a 10. Okay, let's see if this gets a higher score.
Yeah, let me try I mean, it is a little bit over, like, I'm passing in the same models it trained on, but dude, 9.9?
Yeah.
Jesus.
Well, maybe it's just... do you want to try the images that I just sent you and then see how it works?
Yeah, for sure. So you sent some on Slack?
Yeah.
Copy image. Do you know what the grading is for this one?
No. But like that's the whole point of the software, right? Like where people would have their comics at home and they just want to get an idea of like what they might get graded if they send this in, right?
Yeah. Let me see where I downloaded this. Hold on.
But it looks like it's in good condition.
Yeah, right? So let's grade this one. 2.9.
Okay.
Good one.
So we have a working software from an idea on idea browser, and this should work. So essentially, I don't know, should we just throw this code up on GitHub and see if anyone wants to like use it and like make a business out of it?
Yeah, 100%. I'll be like, hey, can you post this entire code base
on a new repo and like make it public maybe, and then we can link it below the video to see if anyone wants to play with it. And then I think we can wrap up now, but like I have 2 questions before we wrap up, right? So we've essentially built this app and we built a training model for it as well. So it's not using, if anyone were to build this business out, they would not have to use an LLM. They would just have to use this training model and just feed it as many models, so they could scrape it from online, from these already existing databases that are there, or if they have their own data set, let's say if you're a comic book shop which has a lot of comics, then you can do that as well. How would you then use the Agent Studio to improve this app and maybe like build out more features?
So essentially, basically, like so for someone who's serious about trying to make this a production system, you would get a lot more images, use a better training model, and actually train the model in-house. Like you wouldn't pass this to an LLM to grade because there's too much uncertainty around the LLM. And then the other thing is, like, once you have a very good, sophisticated model has very high precision and high recall, or like an F1 score across the board, then the model works, right? Like on like maybe 5, 10, 15,000 images of cards and their grades. And then you would actively, periodically train the model on more and more information as it comes through, or more and more data as it comes through. And then that would be your proprietary software, so you wouldn't release that. But then your app, you could even deploy to Vercel and Supabase and get a running app going there. And you know what? This is funny. Let's take a look at this. So this is a 9.6, right? And I don't think we mined this file, so we can actually like do an out of sample test here to see what it good. Okay, so 1.3. Okay, so the model's not. Wait, is that 7.3 or 1.3?
I think it might be 7.
It looks like it's 7 because it's
very fine. Yeah, it says very fine, so I guess it's 7.
Well, it's not bad. The model definitely needs some work. Let's try this. My to-do one here that I've been trying.
I mean, like something like this would require, as you mentioned, like 20,000 images. It's trained on, so there will be like this is a very small sample size for it to work on.
Yeah,
but it's still it is still a dynamic model where it's understanding like the quality of the photos and then trying to work with it. So essentially, someone can just take this code base and like just upload a bunch of training data. Awesome. And then
actually, so one thing to jump in. So this is the public repo. I'll share this with you. You can add it to the video. So we have the entire app that the thing built, and then I'm also going to share the model. Can you upload the code, the training code and sample data set into a public repo? So I want to share the training code and the data set. So basically, like, not just the app that you're seeing here, but also like the training process in case you want to build your own model and prove it with data that you're going to feed into it. The app, they gave us a really nice documentation. And the crazy thing is this is like going through just the code, like, browsing the code for the front end, back end, the container orchestration, like this is a production ready system, right? Like, obviously there's some specific details of, depending on the scale of how many users are going to use it. But like, if it was a small user base, this would be 100% ready to go. So one thing their backend engineers flagging is from CG site. So, okay, great point. Let's skip the actual images and not upload those. So yeah, so we'll have two things as a result. We'll have the app itself that you're seeing here, with including the backend to store any of this information, and then also the training set. The training code, the AI made for the ML model itself. So this is super dope as a product to build. And I think one thing I loved about developing this is like it wasn't just like a web app that's like a fancy website. It was like there was integrations, there was a database, there was a backend system, even an ML model. So like the sophistication of the system that we built was pretty up there, which would have taken like weeks to build as an individual, or like even like days to build with just talking to Claude Code and getting each specific component up and running. Like kind of going from a plan to here was amazing, and like very, very little involvement on here. And so here is the training model for the ML pipeline. So this is for the machine learning folks. Like there's a pre-processing step for the transformation, data set for the aggregation, and then you have the training file here. So it's using PyTorch library. Cool. It's using an efficient net. It's an image net model. That's really cool with the base weights on it. And it's a classifier, which makes sense. It's a value from 0 to 10. And honestly, I didn't even dive too much into the ML code, but for the folks that are really into data science, like this is really fun to see the precision, the accuracy, the error metrics of like what's your total loss over time over the training session. So and if you're, I don't know if, this does do batch size. So like we're doing batch training as well. So it seems like it's a pretty good model just to start off with. Like, and it tells you the evaluation score as well when it runs. So very, very cool base model. It's an ImageNet pre-trained model. So that's why it's starting off with some weights. And yeah, so for some folks, like they'd love to just drill into the model and make it better and better. And then holistically, like now you have both repos that can kind of like give you an end-to-end solution here.
Cool. And then I guess we're pretty much done here. But last question, like how can people access the Agent Studio?
For sure. So that's a great question. So you can go to studio.bonecho.ai. This is our website, and you can just hit up the download link and you can have access. It's fully free. You don't put any credit card, nothing on. Like the app is fully free, and you get access to everything. Like create a new project, start building stuff, and you have this entire engineering org at your disposal here. Just come with your own Claude Code subscription, and you can even create your own agents if you want that can do specific things that you're asking them to do. And these agents, like they're very, very specialized, so they have skills associated to like front end work. They have memories that they're learning across the different sessions you have. So these agents are actually getting better and better at front end work the more work you gave them. And you can kind of see like the skills they employ to just build this like very beautiful app right here.
Yeah, and then please join the Discord so you can talk to us and feed us more ideas of things we can build. And also, yeah, we'd love for you to check out the Agent Studio so that we can keep on making it better and better.